You're live. Hold on to this and then whatever you think. I did. You guys all ready? Okay. Go with the show. Yeah. All right.
Where am I sitting over here?
You'll sit here. Sit here, but we'll double on the road.
So Danny,
Give it a couple of minutes.
Mike, the plug. Why is this turning? Anyway, a little bit closer to you.
Like that?
Not so funny or comfortable? Not comfortable. What's so funny? Try to get out of an hour.
Maybe put it a bit further that way.
Further?
Yeah, I don't think it is that close. Like this.
Yeah, it's like you look like you're bending over.
We'll wait for a minute to come. Yeah, we'll just wait for a few cameras to come.
Yeah. Good like that?
Tell me, I don't know.
I don't care.
Speak in seconds words.
What?
Just talking in a second. Yeah, there's also this
Maybe
much.
put it down a little bit. Put it down.
You can control it.
Yeah. Put it down from there so it goes down, and then we can move it up like that maybe.
I think the problem is that this is a little.
right first.
Yeah. Okay, that's good like that.
You control it. Speak a second.
Hello.
Okay, so that's a little button.
Okay. Hello.
Ruvain.
Yeah.
Don't mind.
All right.
Want to do the other side a second?
What are you doing?
Sorry.
Yeah. Sorry.
Where's this going?
Let's go there. We'll try to get as less trippy as possible.
Mendel.
Yeah, give me a second. What?
You got your tables here.
Yeah.
You got a top on that side.
And sushi. What is sushi? Yeah. See, this is fresh. You didn't. Where is that? One lunch. Good. But you, I thought you did. We're making sushi. She told me that. Well, so fresh. Fish, salmon, very good. Sushi plate. I don't mind. I'll try that.
Amen.
Wat is doel al die eens bezig?
En met wat. En met wat.
Amen. Je hebt je daar, maar Amen. Amen.
Amen. Why are you sitting here? I was told them. Why are you sitting here? I can't see it. I don't think it's here. Tommy's not here.
I mean, officially he's here.
Okay.
Did you do the newsletter yet?
Yeah. I didn't call you because I just mamash finished it like. What did you say? You say that? Okay, no worries. I figured you'd probably want to hear something about it. Oh wow!
I don't know who got it. They put it
On your family chat, can you send it to me? I'll post it on my family chat. That's a beautiful photo.
I'm supposed to go Sunday with my wife to get on the same plane.
Who was?
She's going earlier. How did you get into the house to get the hat?
Somebody was at the Dobby. No thanks. Dobby was there.
Tell us no special.
I'll have some Geulah if you don't mind.
We have some candid shots, you know. Question: what's going to get us from life? What's going to get us from
Shkoyach.
What time is the plane tomorrow? What time is the plane tomorrow?
10 o'clock. I'm going to try to get a bit earlier, but I don't think it's going to work for you.
No, tomorrow I'm free. Tomorrow I'm free in the morning.
All right. What, you'll be before 10? Free? No, pass the cucumber there, please. So how does it work? Do we work doing
Potatoes here. Singing you'll say something. Singing
right? Do we wait for Chaim Zvi to get here?
No, he usually comes late.
Are you sure he's going to come?
Also shy. At 8:30. Quarter to 9, there will also be an influx of the elderly generation.
I'm going to tell them. L'chaim, Reb Shimon, L'chaim, nice to see you here. L'chaim, everyone. I hope you can all hear me okay. It's very nice to be here. I would like to give a big yesher koyach to Dan Goldhirsch and whoever is behind this wonderful initiative, Yeshiva, Young Yeshiva, and all the various different organizations of the Yeshiva Center here. It's always, to me, it's a real inspiration just coming to this community and just being in the presence of all the wonderful Hasidim here. It's always uplifting. And for me, whenever I come here, I go back to Brisbane with a big bounce, because this community is really, I would say, one of the most outstanding Lubavitcher communities in the world. It's really something to be very proud of. And every time I come here, there's something else beautiful about something that's changed for the better. And the concept of having Farbrengens and having special evenings in honor of Gimel Tammuz Shnas HaShloshim is something really very remarkable and very uplifting. And it's something that we should really appreciate. And I want to just say, yesher koyach for the initiative, yesher koyach for inviting me to come here. I feel very overwhelmed being in this kind of environment. We used to Farbrengen with people in Brisbane. This is a slightly different crowd. Nevertheless, it's a big zechus to be here. And I want to say thank you very much for the opportunity. I want to take the opportunity to dedicate tonight's Farbrengen Le'uli Nishmas, my mother, who just recently passed away, Simarivke Bas Nasanel Halevi, who was herself a very big chassid. She was a person who dedicated her life to the Rebbe's Inyanim. She lived with Mashiach. She never came downstairs ever, in her later years especially, until she'd finished all of her daily shiurim. And she was an inspiration, not only to her family, but to many, many hundreds, if not thousands of people who benefited from her warm heart and her warm, open home. At the Shiva, we heard from countless people who said how their lives were mamish changed and how their lives really were transformed because of the warmth and the kindness and the dedication that she showed to other people. And there's something we can all learn from us. The Rebbe always teaches us that we should learn from those who have gone to the Olam HaEmes. One of the amazing things we can learn is that you never know what kind of a tremendous impact you have on people. It could be just a word that you say, just an uplifting word, a little pula, toiva, a little small thing you do for somebody, and you have no idea what kind of impact it has on their lives. And it reminds me actually of a story that happened with us in our community. A couple of years ago, we got an email from a lady who, completely out of the blue, she sent an email to us, and she says, Rabbi Jaffe, I'm sending you this email because I want to know something, she says. She says, many years ago, I was an Israeli metayelet. I was traveling around Australia, and we came to Brisbane for Shabbos. And like a lot of the Israeli travelers, we wanted to have a Aruchat Shabbat. We wanted a Friday night dinner, and we contacted you. And I came to shul Friday night, to the synagogue, to the shul. And she said, after shul, she said, on the way home, she said, I had a nose ring at the time. And she said that as I came out of shul, one of your young children commented about my nose ring. And she said, I felt very uncomfortable. We said, but you were walking together with your wife, and your wife made a comment, and she said, just like Rivka Imenu. Rivka Imenu had a nose ring. And that's, this is the mother of the Jewish people. And she just made that comment. She said, that comment and the experience that I had in your home that Friday night, she said, it had such an incredible impact on me, she said. She said, I want you to know that you would never know this, but I want to tell you now I Baruch Hashem, I'm married. I'm a religious person with a religious family with 5 children. She said, I want you to know the turning point in my life was the comment that you made, that little small comment that your wife made, and the experience of having a Shabbos dinner with your family. So the point is, we never know. We have no idea what kind of an impact we have on people's life. We meet people, we put on tefillin with them, or we say a kind word to somebody, or we do something with somebody, and we think, okay, that's it. They go along on their own merry way, and that's the end of the story. But it's important that we understand that every single meeting that we have with another person is an opportunity to transform their life and to make an impact on them, which can last forever, and it's something which is immeasurable. So that's just a little words I wanted to share in honor of my mother's memory. She's all haben a lichtige Gan Eden. So I go to Melitz. One of the things about my mother was that she knew how to scream. Rabbi Talsner can attest to that. When my mother would scream, the people would move. So there's no question that right now, I have no doubt that she's up there in Shemayim, and she's stürming the Himmelin, that Mashiach should come already, and we should be Zeicha to the Geulah Shleima, and we will be Zeicha to the Geulah Shleima. There's no question. And this is what I really want to kind of focus on this evening, about this inyan, how we should be miyaker, how we should appreciate the preciousness of who we are in the times that we're living, and to be who we are in Dor HaShvi, to be the Rebbe's Chassidim, and to have access and exposure to the Rebbe's teachings, which is, of course, this is what it's all about. We are now the most precious and the most cherished Dor from all times, since Matan Torah till today. And we have to appreciate, tonight, Thursday night, I usually give a Tanya Shir. In fact, some of my Tanya Shir people are actually, I believe, are watching here tonight. So Tanya Shir, guys, good evening. It's nice to have you with us. Slightly different setting tonight. But we're currently in the Parakim, towards the end of the first Chelik of the Tanya, Perik Memvav, Mem Zayin, where the Alter Rebbe talks about the concept of how precious it is. The whole mashal about the king who takes the man out of the dung, and he brings him into the palace, and he brings him into the heichel, and he takes him into the cheder lefnim micheder, and he shows him how much he loves him. This is what happens with us in the Eibishter. The Eibishter took us out from Mitzrayim. No other nation, there's no other people in the world that can talk about a history like we talk about, how the Eibishter took us mamash like a kind, and he took us out, took us by the hand, took us out of Mitzrayim, gave us the greatest and the most precious gift of all of humanity, the whole world. He gave us the Torah, and how precious that is. And this is something, this idea the Alter Rebbe talks about in order to make us appreciate how much the Eibishter loves us, and how that brings out within us, kamayim aponim leponim, just like the reflection of a face in the water. This should bring out within us a tremendous appreciation and love to the Eibishter, an incredible love to say, wow, look what the Eibishter did for us, how much the Eibishter loves us, and how precious it is to be the Eibishter's kinder, and how we have to, just like the Eibishter, so to speak, was Matzamtzem himself, in order to look after us, we have to go out of our way for the Eibishter. We have to put ourselves out, come out of our comfort zones a little bit. It's not always so comfortable. But this idea really is something that I believe that we should reflect on, being in this doir now, being the Rebbe's Chassidim, having access to all the Rebbe's Torahs, and all of the Rebbe's Hadracha, and how the Rebbe shows us how everything that happens in the world is for a reason, and everything is there in order to be able to prepare us for the Geulah Shlema, which is coming very, very soon. This has to become a reality to us. We have to live with this. And if we live with it, the same idea that Alter Rebbe brings out in those parakim in the Tanya, how when we appreciate the Eibishter's love for us and how fortunate and how lucky we are, then that makes us have a reciprocal relationship and a reciprocal commitment to Hashem. I don't know how many of you saw it, but recently there was a video that was going around about my Zayda, who was speaking about how he came to Lubavitch. I received that video from probably 10 people, 10 different people. So it obviously became a little bit viral. And for those of you who don't know, my Zayda, Zalman Jaffe, Oliver Sholem, was a very special Yid. And the Rebbe, he enjoyed a very special relationship with the Rebbe for many, many years. And my Zayda speaks in that video about how he came to Lubavitch, how he came to the Rebbe, and how Rabbi Ben Zion Shem Tov, Oliver Sholem, Zichron Livracha, played a big role in bringing many people to the Rebbe in those early years, in the 1950s. But what my Zayda didn't say in the video, which he didn't speak about in that speech, was really what it was that really kind of brought him to the Rebbe, like really catapulted his relationship with the Rebbe and really made him that connection. And that was an event that happened on Yud Gimel Sivan, Tovshin Yud Ches, 1958. There was a terrible car crash. My grandfather, my grandmother were in the car. My father was in the car, was a young child, and they lost a child. It was a big tragedy. My grandparents, even though my Zayda was a B'derech Klal, he was a very happy person, a very cheerful person, a very simcha d'kiyid. Anybody who remembers him would know. But after that tragedy, he was driving the car, and it was a head-on collision. It was very, very terrible, terrible tragedy. And after that tragedy, they were in the hospital for a long time, and Rabbi Ben Zion Shem Tov, he encouraged them after that they should go and actually visit the Rebbe in person. My Zayda had been corresponding to the Rebbe in writing, but that was really the trigger that made my grandparents travel. In those days, they traveled by ship, and they traveled to the Rebbe, and the Rebbe basically showed my Zayda, my Baba, how they should take that tragedy and all the sadness and all the depression. My grandfather was very depressed. Good evening, Yisraelik. Welcome. Nice to see you. It was a very great tragedy in the family. And he was very zerbrochen. My grandparents were very zerbrochen. You can imagine they lost a child. Nothing could be worse than that. And the Rebbe showed them how to take their lives and take the sadness, that energy of sadness, and to project that into doing hafotza, becoming the Rebbe's shluchim, and doing the Rebbe's arbet in Manchester, and growing the, now, Baruch Hashem, there's a beautiful kehillah there. But the beginning of all of that started from a tragedy. And this is one of the things that the Rebbe teaches us, that everything that happens in life is an opportunity for us to be able to to strengthen our relationship with Hashem, with the Eibishter, and how especially tragedies that happen, we should look at them. And the Rebbe teaches us how everything in the Welt is all controlled by the Eibishter. Everything ultimately is good. And if not for that event, we often say in the family, Ilav hayom de kagorim. If not for that day, that tragedy, our family would have taken a completely different route. We wouldn't be where we are today. Many of our family members are shluchim all around the world in different places. My Zayda had 2 remaining children. From those 2 remaining children, they produced 23 grandchildren, and Kanai Nahara today, so many great-grandchildren, and the whole family was changed by this terrible tragedy that happened to the family on that day. And this is I believe it's a very important message we all need to take, especially now, because we look at the world today, and we talk, the Rebbe tells us Mashiach is here. Mashiach, we just have to open our eyes. And this is it. We are the last door of the Geulah and the first door of the Geulah. And we look around the world today and we see what's going on. We think to ourselves, how could such a thing be? It's 30 years since Gimel Tammuz. Who would have believed that 30 years later would still be still sitting here talking about it? And the question many people ask is, what's going on? Why is this stuff happening? And what the Rebbe tells us and continues to tell us is the importance of opening up our eyes and seeing things not just on the surface. We have to understand that there are many layers of what we see in the world. But the Rebbe was emphatic that we are the door of the Geulah, and whatever's happening in the world today is just bringing us closer to that realization. And we're seeing it today, b'muchash, in the world. We see today that the world is coming now to the realization that we need Mashiach. That's the only answer to what's happening around here. And now we're finding here not only Lubavitchers, but Misnagdim are all telling us that Mashiach is coming, and we have to get ready for the Geulah. All the things that the Rebbe taught us all the years and continues to teach us is now the world has become receptive to the Rebbe's message. I want to just share with you a beautiful story. When I was a bacha in Yeshiva, I remember being in 770 and the Rebbe speaking in Farbrengen, and the Rebbe would say, "Darf einem in the Welt, we have to conquer the world, a Torah, mitzvahs." And I remember as a bacha being by the Rebbe's Farbrengen and thinking to myself, like I was a naive bacha. I was thinking to myself, how could the Rebbe talk like that? Like, really? We're going to conquer the world? We're going to bring Yiddishkeit to everywhere in the world, and everyone's going to... Like, I remember thinking to myself, like, how could that such a thing be? But now, 30 years later, we see this, b'muchash. There isn't a place in the world today where people could go where you don't find a shliach. Every single corner of Australia is being catered for. There are now, right now, as we speak, there are Rara Bachrim out there on the road visiting the most remote Yidden that you could possibly imagine in far Western Australia and in far North Queensland. And everywhere you go, there isn't a place in the world today where the Rebbe's koyach and the Torah is not reaching people everywhere in the world. And I want to just share with you a personal story which happened in our community, which really demonstrates this idea in a very powerful way. We have a family in the community who Nebuch, one of their children, got involved in some drugs, and he went to Cambodia, he got caught, and he was taken to jail. And the parents were completely oismensch, and they didn't know what to do. And they were embarrassed to talk to me about it. So they spoke to one of their friends. They said to one of their friends, we don't know what to do. We have nowhere to turn. We don't know. Our son is in jail in Cambodia. That's probably the last time we'll ever see him. And this friend of theirs came to me. He came to see me one night. He said, Rabbi Jaffe, he said, I've got a friend. And this is the story with their son. And he doesn't know what to do. He's completely oismensch. He doesn't know what to do. He said, do you have any contacts in Cambodia? I said, well, there happens to be a Chabad shlich there in Cambodia. His name is Ben-Sim Butman. I said, we can give him a call, see if he can help, And we did. We called him. And without exaggeration, within 24 hours, literally, within 24 hours, this young boy was out of jail, on a plane, with the shliach to Singapore, but he met the father of the boy in Singapore. He handed the boy over to him, and the boy came back to Brisbane. He needed to go to hospital for a little bit. He wasn't well. And now, Baruch Hashem, he's back with his family in the community. This is an incredible story. It just goes to show the koyach, the Rebbe's koyach in the world. I mean, who could ever imagine such a thing? Where does it exist, such a thing in the world? That you can go over to somebody and within 24 hours, such an incredible, mamish had solas nefashos mamish. And this is the world is now at that stage. We are ready. The world is ready. The world is ready, and we are ready. We have to be ready. So we who are zoicha to be the Rebbe's chassidim. Look at these young fellas we've got over here. These amazing young boys over here with so much energy. Guys, you are the chayalim. You are the soldiers. You are the Rebbe's soldiers. And now it's up to you and up to all of us. First of all, we have to believe it ourselves. So it needs to be internalized. We need to understand what it's about, right? Yes. We have to be convinced ourselves. Yes. And once we become convinced ourselves, then we can have that. Dvarim sheyotzim min halev nichnasim el halev. The Eibusher should bench all of us that we should be internalize all of the Rebbe's teachings, especially the Rebbe's most important message to all of us, that we are now al safa Geulah. We're ready for Mashiach to come. All we have to do is just open up our eyes. That means we have to internalize the message. We have to take the message and we have to bring it into our consciousness, so to speak. And if we can ourselves be convinced and we believe it mitanemis, then we can project that message out to the rest of the world, which is waiting to hear that message. So l'chaim, we should be zoicha to have the opening of the eyes, but the effen and the egin. Not only should we open our eyes, but the whole world should open its eyes, and we should see the Geulah Shlema take off from Yad Mamish. L'chaim.
Hayale yadeinu
Meir Rabbeinu Menachem Moshiach leyaboy lavo la Menachem Moshiach leyaboy Tell me you were coming. What a beautiful surprise. Spin the whole thing.
Please, he's always more than welcome. Your son to your because he's such a good boy.
L'chaim.
He's always welcome. Tell him to come back.
You know he's from Brisbane.
I know.
So was by you. L'chaim, everybody, l'chaim. Now that my good chaverim, Rabbi Lipsker and Rabbi Kaltman are here, I have to share with you the following story, Rosh. It's Erev Shabbos Mevorchim Elul. This is a very special time, as we all know. This is a time when we start getting serious. It's a time of introspection. This is it. Getting ready for the Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur, the tremendous Giluyim that we're going to be zoicha to have. Chodesh Elul. So it reminds me of a story. Some of you may have heard the story from Rabbi Lipsker. But when we were in Gan Yisrael, Montreal, in what was it, Memvav, Memzayin, Mendel?
It was after Sydney.
After Sydney. So what was it? Nun and Aleph. So whatever, 30-odd years ago. Hello, Yehuda. 30-odd years ago, we're in camp. And my job in camp, one of my jobs in camp was to wake up the Bachrim, the Masmidim for Seder. That's not an easy job. And eventually I kind of learned a technique of how to wake up the Bachrim. So I would go, they were sleeping in tents. In Gan Yisrael Montreal, they had tents for the Bachrim, for the Masmidim. So I would go around the tents and I would wake them up, first waking, right? If they would get up, good. Second waking, come around the second time. If they didn't wake up a second time, then we give them a warning, right? Tell them, okay, if you don't wake up by the third time, Negelwasser. If by the third time the Negelwasser doesn't work, then we tip over your bed. That was basically our word. There was one masmid, his name was Sruli. I'm not going to say his last name, I don't want to incriminate him. But Sruli was one bacha who never got up in the morning. He always ended up getting his bed turned over, his mattress turned over. It was always a struggle to get him to say that, not everybody finds it easy getting up in the morning. And one Shabbos morning, I go there to wake up the Bachrim. And I'm walking to the tents, and I see Sruli walking towards me. I haven't even started waking up the Bachrim yet. And I look at him, and I can't believe it. I almost collapsed. I said, Sruli, what happened to you this morning? And he looks me in the eyes, and he goes, Shabbos mevorachim elu. Just like that, exactly like that. I'll never forget. Ada yom hazeh. I wish that I could have Sruli's conviction and his Mesiras Nefesh for Shabbos mevorachim elu, the way he understood, the way he internalized the meaning of Shabbos mevorachim elu. It was a beautiful experience, and Ad Hayom Hazeh, me and my friend here, Rabbi Mendel, we'd like to share this beautiful story because it shows us, really, it demonstrates a deher. It's a feel, it's an awareness that we all need to really have, especially now, this time of the year. It's going to be Chodesh Elul. It's going to be Rosh Hashanah. It's a very important time for us to start getting serious about who we are and what we're doing over here. But most importantly, as is the topic of tonight's Farbrengen, about preparing for the Geulah, we all know how passionate the Rebbe is about Geulah. We all know how much the Rebbe instills within us. So much information and so much perspective on looking at the world in a way that we can see everything that happens in the world is all a hachana for the Geulah Shlema. And yes, there's the Yetzer Hara inside of us that says, well, the Rebbe spoke about this 30 years ago, and now it's 30 years later, and it still didn't happen yet. So where's Mashiach? So I think that really it starts from us. We have to really internalize this. It's something that we have to come to realize ourselves as Chassidim, if we really are Chassidim. And we have to live with this. We have to realize that there's things happening in the world on a surface level that we don't understand. No question about that. But we have to understand that b'pnimius, this is all the hachana to the Geulah Shlema. And we know what the Rebbe would be saying today, that we have to look around what's going on in the world, and we're seeing it. B'muchash, we see, after especially what happened, Simchas Torah in Eretz Yisrael, and we, for Chassidische Farbrengen, can uftan, afilu Malach Mechol, can das nicht uftan. We should make a special l'chaim for the return of all of the chatufim, as we say, the hostages. One of them came back this last week. The Eibusher should bench that the rest of them should come back to be reunited with their families. But one of the things that this whole story has done, it's brought together Klal Yisrael. It's brought together the Jewish people like never before. You know, we went to Eretz Yisrael for Simchas Torah last year. On the way there, we went around with a tefillin, putting on tefillin with people. And there were some Israelis, secular Israelis, so to speak. We don't believe in such a thing, a notion of secular, because we know how everybody has a neshama and everybody really believes in the Eibishter. But there was some Israeli guy, he says to me, you know what? He says to me, I'm going to put on tefillin with you, not because I'm religious. He says, I'm going to lahachis. He says, because I'm so angry with the way the Israeli people are behaving towards each other. How the lefties in Israel are treating. There was that whole story that happened in Tel Aviv with this whole, and this guy wasn't a frum guy. He said, I'm going to put on tefillin, you know why, lahachis, because I'm so angry with the way people are behaving in Israel and how they don't like each other, and people were complaining. They were saying how they don't know what's going to be the end of all of this period levavis, this terrible animosity and hatred between Yidden. It was horrible. And then came Simchas Torah, and then suddenly everyone's together. There's achdus among the Yidden, and now everybody wants to see. You know, we're all on the same page again. We don't understand. Who are we to explain the ways of the Eibishter? But one thing we know for sure: we know the Man Torah, the Hachana to Man Torah is Vayichan Shom Yisrael Neged Hahar. There was achdus among the Yidden, K'ish Echad B'Lev Echad. And we know that that's what needs to happen before Mashiach comes. And for whatever, who are we to explain tragedies? But like I said before about my grandfather, that his journey to Lubavitch and to the Rebbe began with the biggest tragedy in their life. They were at rock bottom. It was horrible. They felt they couldn't move on. But the Rebbe showed them how you can move on. And not only can you move on, but you could use that energy from the tragedy. And that energy becomes the the spearhead, that becomes the impetus for your community dedication and commitment and Hamasiris Nefesh, which for many, many years, that's what happened. There were Moser Nefesh to build Yiddishkeit in Manchester. And this all happened as a result of a tragedy. And the same thing also in the world, when we look at world events, we have to understand, we have to instill within ourselves that what the Rebbe says is Chai v'Kayom. Nothing's changed. The Rebbe says we're standing on the Safa Geulah, that's what's happening. And we just have to look at the world around us and appreciate that whatever's going on is another simon. It's another pointer that we're just getting ever so close. And we're going to be the ones who are Zoicha to greet Mashiach. And it's going to happen very, very soon. Be'ezras Hashem Yisborach. There's no question about it. It's just a question of we need to open up our eyes. We've got to open up our eyes. This week's parish is Parshas Re'eh. Re'eh means to see, right? What does it mean to see? Doesn't mean begashmias to see. Yeah, obviously, anybody can see begashmias. The Rebbe teaches us how to see beneath the surface, how to see there's something more going on. There's a dynamic that's happening beyond what the eye sees, but what the neshama sees. And this reminds me of a story, a very beautiful story I was sharing with Rabbi Telsner today. Rabbi Telsner, I'd like to acknowledge your presence here tonight. Thank you very much for joining us. It's very nice to have you with us. Mr. Shabenshi with lots of gesund, nachas and simchis. And we should be zeicher to many, many happy occasions together. Gesundheit and Freilichkeit. But there's a story which they tell. There was a famous rabbi who was also a doctor who lived in England. His name was Rabbi Dr. Koppel Rosen. He was the principal of a very prestigious boarding school in England called Carmel College. It's no longer in existence, but when it did, a lot of very, very well-known families in England would send their children to the school. Hello, Danielle. L'chaim, very nice to see you. You know, it's so nice to see all these Brisbane faces here. Wow. Amazing. L'chaim, l'chaim. So Rabbi Dr. Koppel Rosen, he was a very educated man. And in his later years, he became very close to Chabad, to the Rebbe and to Chassidus. And Rabbi Feivish Vogel, who should have a refuah shleimo kroiva, who was the Rebbe's shlich in London, he developed a very close relationship with Rabbi Rosen, and he would learn Tanya with him regularly. And Rabbi Rosen came to the Rebbe in Yechidus in his later years. He was already getting on. And he came to the Rebbe in Yechidus and he told the Rebbe that he learns Tanya, he learns Chassidus, and he enjoys learning Chassidus. But he told the Rebbe that he finds sometimes some of the things that the Alter Rebbe talks about in the Tanya, he can't really understand. He finds it difficult intellectually to comprehend what the Alter Rebbe is saying. And he said to the Rebbe, but nevertheless, because I know it's coming from the Alter Rebbe, I know it's MS, and I accept it with Kabbalah soul, even though I don't really understand properly the Inyanim. So the Rebbe said to him, your field of education is doch English history, right? Because he was his doctor, he was a doctor, he was his specialty was English history. So the Rebbe asked him a question. The Rebbe said, do you know who built the London Bridge? So he said, no, that far back I don't know. That's already going back to the 1100s. I don't go back that far. So the Rebbe told him who it was, the name of the person. The Rebbe said, did you know he was blind from birth? The Rebbe said to him, how does a person who's blind from birth create such an incredible architectural masterpiece like the London Bridge? How is it possible? So he looks at the Rebbe, he says, I don't know. So the Rebbe says, he says, when a person is able to take Re'iyah Sichlis, and the Re'iyah Sichlis becomes Re'iyah Muchashis, when a person sees something in his intellectual eye, he could see something, and that becomes Re'iyah, as if he can actually see it in front of his face, in front of his eyes, then he could create such a masterpiece. And the Rebbe said to him that when you learn Chassidus, you need to try to learn Chassidus in the same way. Chassidus talks about inyanim ruchniim. It doesn't talk about things that you can see in front of your eyes. You know, it's not something that's you can see b'muchish. It's things that you have to use your imagination. We're talking about Inyanim Ruchnim. But if we take those Inyanim Ruchnim, we apply ourselves and we learn Chassidus with application, and we try to understand and we use our intellect to gain a deeper appreciation of what's going on in the world, then we can actually, it's as if we can visualize it. And I think in many ways, that's really what the Rebbe is teaching us all. We who are Zoicha to be, and it's not just us, because the whole world now is the Rebbe's Chassidim. The whole world is ready now for the Rebbe's message, more than ever before. You know, you talk to people. Somebody wanted to become Jewish. They came to visit. I had an interview. So I said, come with you. He's non-Jewish. He's got a non-Jewish girlfriend. Okay, bring her along too. She came along. We started talking, and I gave them a sefer, a book to borrow. And she looks at the book. She's not Jewish. I said, "Oh, Rabbi Schneerson, of course I know Rabbi Schneerson. Oh, of course, yeah." And it's become now in the Welt. You know, I think it's time that we realize, that the world realizes that the Welt is ready now more than ever to hear the Rebbe's message, to hear what the Rebbe has to say. And the Rebbe's das Torah. This is Torah. And we are those people who were Zoicha to be the Rebbe's ambassadors to the world. We are the ones who have the koyach. And we have the special, the Rebbe instills within us that koyach to be able to take the message to the world. He gives man gulaschem, chevra. This is it. After all of this time, all of these generations, and all of the tefillis and everything that's happened throughout Jewish history, we are the ones who are going to be zoicha very, very soon to go out of Golus. And we shouldn't be shy about it. No. You know, I'm talking to myself, by the way. I'm not talking to you. I'm just talking to myself. It happens to be that you happen to listen to what I'm saying. But the point is that we have to be convinced ourselves in the message, who we are, what we represent, because the world is ready for this more than ever before. And the Eibusher should bench us, that we should internalize the message. You all know the famous story with the Menachem of Vitebsk. The Hasidim came one day into the Rebbe, and they wanted to make a joke to say Mashiach came. You know the story, right? Was it Menachem Av Vitebsk? They came in one day and they said, "Did you hear, Rebbe? Mashiach came." And the Rebbe goes, "Oh yeah." He opened, you know the story. He opened the window and he gave a shmek, and he says, "No, Mashiach didn't come." So the Chassidim are looking at him, they're saying, "Rebbe, what are you doing? You can smell Mashiach in the air." He says, "Of course I can." So they said, "So what do you have to open the window for? Why didn't you just smell in here?" He says, "By me in Zimmer is Mashiach allemal da." He said, "By me in this room, Mashiach is always here." What does that mean? It means that by mir in Zimmer, by uns, it has to become internalized. It has to become part of us. Mashiach is something that we have to internalize within ourselves. The concept of Geulah. And we have, Baruch Hashem, we have a whole wealth out there. Hello, Mendel. Good evening, Machaim. Nice to have you with us. And the Eibush is all helping that we should tackle exactly how we do it. Parshas Re'eh this week. Parshas Re'eh means to see. It's time that we opened up our eyes and we realized that we are the ones. This is the time, you know, and we have to appreciate that even though it's difficult to understand and we struggle with many things that are going on in the world today, but we have to know, Chevra, that it's real and it's happening. And we are the ones from all of the Deiros that are going to be the ones to be Mekabel Pnei Mashiach. And I want to just say that this community and these wonderful yeshiva people, Dan, you and your wonderful team, and all the wonderful people here, it's a great thing what's going on over here. It's gewaldig to see how this community is growing in every respect. I went to the mikveh this morning. Now they have soap in the mikveh and shampoo in the mikveh. I didn't have to bring my shampoo anymore. Gewaldig, amazing. You know, Mamash Mashiach Zeit, gewaldig. I don't know who's responsible for that, but I'll tell you something. I'm waiting. Whoever you are, gewaldig. Next time I come, I'm looking forward to the showers going on by themselves. That's the next thing, Mr. Shem. Anyway, the Eibush is all health and teke chevra. We are Ashreinu Matov Chalkeinu. It's the biggest chus in the world to be chassidim, to be living in this generation, to be living in these times, to be who we are, where we are, is the biggest chus, and we have to internalize that. I'm talking to myself again. I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to me. But the Eibush, maybe somebody else can hear the message also. But the Eibush is all helping that we should take a bizaycha. And in order for that to happen, sometimes it means we have to go a little bit outside of our comfort zone. L'chaim, l'chaim. If you were speaking, what would you say?
I just put on something.
Right. You want to say over something, maybe? Something to say? No, you're not taking away from me because I don't have.
You run out of stuff, then I'll say something.
Okay, I'm going to invite you to share something.
Came a little bit closer. You know what he's complaining about?
What?
Levi Jaffe.
Chaim Yehuda. Chaim.
Hey, Rabbi. No, I have in mind, but you see the...
Siva v'chasimatay v'leshanatay v'obasukak Siva v'chasimatay v'leshanatay v'obasukak Siva v'chasimatay v'obasukak Lirai v'chasimatay v'leshanatay. Is that right? That's it. Good to see you. Josh, l'chaim. You said l'chaim.
I really like that story about the bridge.
You like the story about the bridge? It's a good story. I told you he's not here. No, he told me he's not here. He told me he was down. Maybe he went. What else was missing?
Okay. I'm too serious about Rosh Hashanah. Because there's also coming. Rosh Hashanah,
Okay, okay. L'chaim. Somebody asked me before that I should share some stories about my Zayda alav shalom. So I'm just going to share with you one story that I often share with people, which I think in many ways it's a very important story. And the story is that my Zayda was once in Yechidus with the Rebbe, and the Rebbe opened his drawer and he showed my Zayda a letter that he received from a certain lady. The Rebbe covered over the name of the person. The Rebbe didn't want to embarrass anybody, of course. The Rebbe didn't want to make it, shouldn't be, But the letter, basically, he showed it to my Zayda. He said, what do you think of this letter? My Zayda had a very interesting relationship with the Rebbe. And the Rebbe would kind of do, with my Zayda things that other people wouldn't necessarily have such kind of experiences. He shows the letter to my Zayda, and he says to my Zayda, "What do you think of this letter?" My Zayda starts reading the letter, and the letter says, "Dear Rabbi Schneerson," I'm just paraphrasing over here. He says, "What on earth did you come here to America for with all of your old-fashioned European ideas? Go back to Europe. This doesn't belong here in America. And all of this old-fashioned Yiddishkeit." And it was a very, very scathing letter, basically telling the Rebbe that all of the Yiddishkeit and all this, it's all old-fashioned and it's all outdated. And what are you bringing this stuff here to America? It belongs in Europe, but not in America. America's different. The whole spiel. So the Rebbe says to my Zayda, "What do you think of this letter?" How should I respond to such a letter? So my Zayda was very smart. I think his answer was brilliant. He says to the Rebbe, "I don't know how you respond to a letter like that." He says, "But one thing I can tell you," he says, "I don't get letters like that." And the Rebbe smiled. Obviously, the Rebbe saw the humor in it, but the emes is that's really what the Rebbe tries to instill within us, is to shake up the world, is to call the world's bluff, so to speak, and to say, you know what? The Welt sagt azoi, aber Torah sagt anders. The world says X, but Torah doesn't say. Torah says differently. And in many ways, if you want to encapsulate the Rebbe's whole Zugang, the Rebbe's whole approach to life, is to take everything, all of the preconceived ideas that people have, even Yiddish people, and to take everything and to turn it on its head and to say, Medaf Areinkuchen, we have to see things from a different perspective, a new perspective. I remember when I was a kid in school, I didn't go to the Lubavitcher school, I wasn't Zeichel like you guys, to be in the Rebbe's Moiset. For whatever reason, I'm not going to start telling you over here the reason why, but for whatever reason, Manchester, we didn't have a Moiset, the Rebbe's Moiset, right? You guys are very lucky, boys. You're very fortunate. To be in such a Moiset, to learn the Rebbe's in Yonim, and to be. But I had kids in my class who were not Lubavitchers, and I remember one kid who was making fun of me because we came out with this whole thing that was the beginning of the whole "We Want Mashiach Now." He said, "Your Rebbe talks about we want Mashiach now. What's for a Maisa? We want Mashiach now. What kind of Mashiach is that?" And I was a kid and I wanted to give him a who knows what, But in those days, it takes time. All of the Rebbe's Mivtzoyim and all of the Rebbe's, everything that the Rebbe introduced to us about the importance of what we need to be doing and what the world needs to hear and what the world is ready to hear and what we need to be doing in terms of Mivtzoyim and be Makarav Yidden to the Hebishter. All of that stuff, when the Rebbe first started with it, even the Yidden, the Frumme Yidden, so-called Frumme Yidden, right? They didn't understand. What's Maisa going and dealing with Yidden who are not Frum, But today, as I said before, the world has changed now. Now, finally, the world is catching up. The world is realizing that everything that the Rebbe teaches us and everything that we have is all now, the world is waking up to the realization that it's all happening. It's real. It's not some pie in the sky. This is it. And we have to realize that it might sometimes require going out of the comfort zone a little bit, or taking other people out of that comfort zone a little bit. People don't like it, but we have to go with Mesiras Nefesh because we know we have the Rebbe, we have the Rebbe's teachings, we have the Torahs of the Rebbe. We have so much today, more than ever before, hadracha in every single element in life, in every single aspect of life, of Das Torah, how we need to go, and what the world is ready for, and how everything is all part and parcel of Einod Milvada. It's all part of the Eibishter revealing himself to the Welt and to the world. And we're seeing it happen before our eyes. Yes, sometimes it's difficult to see that. Sometimes we have to kind of go beneath the surface, but that's what we have to do. A little bit of deep sea diving over here. We've got to see beneath the surface. We have to learn the Sichos. We have to learn the Mamorim. We have to live with the Rebbe and with Geulah. And that's really what it's about. I just want to share with you a little story which kind of illustrates this idea. Some of you may have heard this story. When you come to speak to a crowd like this, I'm sure most of the things I'm saying you've heard them before. But the famous story with the Frierdiker Rebbe. Frierdiker Rebbe once came to a place in Russia, to a big building. You know the story. And the guy said, "What exactly did you introduce? What did Hasidus introduce into the world that wasn't there before?" And the Frierdiker Rebbe pointed up to a big column, a big, beautiful, ornate piece of architecture in the top of the room, on the top of a big, beautiful marble pillar. And the Frierdiker Rebbe said to this fellow, "Did you notice that beautiful ornate flowers on the top over there, how beautiful it is?" It looked up, he said, "No, I didn't notice it before." Frierdiker Rebbe said, "Well, that's what Hasidus is really. Hasidus isn't introducing anything new. It's all there. It's all in Torah. Just we're focusing in and bringing people's attention to what was always there. It's nothing new. Ein chodesh tachas hashemesh. Is that the Lashon Rebbe tells us? Nothing is new under the sun, right? It's all there. But we need to be illuminated. We need to open up our eyes to the metzias of what's really going on in the Welt, what's really happening. And to be able to see within everything that's going on, this is all a manifestation of the Geulah of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, of the Geulah of Mashiach, of the Geulah of Geulah Shlema. It's all happening. So here's the story. Rabbi Lipsky, you'll probably know the story because Rabbi Nachman Wilhelm on his weekly email, on his weekly WhatsApp, I don't know if you listen to him, but he has some beautiful stuff in there. He's got a guy called Ben Sion who always introduces. You don't get it over. You get Nachman stuff. He has a guy. Anyways, this guy tells a beautiful story, a very beautiful story. I've told this story many times because I think it's a very powerful story. So he tells a story. There was a guy, a Kloisenberger Chassid, that went last year Rosh Hashanah to blow the shofar for his friend in the hospital. His friend was in hospital in Rosh Hashanah, so he decided to go blow the shofar for him. So he comes to the hospital. He blows the shofar for him. When he finished blowing the shofar, the guy in the next bed lifts up his head and he goes, "I can't thank you enough." He says, "I'm Jewish too." He says, "You won't believe how much I appreciate the fact that you came here to blow the shofar today. I thought I'm going to be lying here in the hospital and I'm not going to hear the shofar. And you walk in and you blow the shofar." He says, "You don't know what it means to me." He says, "I might not look Jewish." He says, "But I feel very Jewish in my neshama." He says, "Thank you." He says, "Would you mind if I share with you a story?" He says, "You're coming here to the hospital today with a shofar reminds me of this story." So the Kloisenberger Chassid said, "Sure, share the story." So he says, "My whole life I've been in the military." He says, "I'm a military person." He says, "And a couple of years ago, they were advertising a job in the Navy for a person, very high profile job, very high pay, highly confidential, but they needed somebody who had a specialty in Morse code, somebody who knows Morse code very well. I happen to know Morse code very well. It's one of my things that I studied very well, and I decided I'm going to go for this job. If I get this job, it'll be the end of all my financial solace." So I went to the interview. I walked into the interview room, and I saw it was filled with people. The interview room was filled with, you can imagine, everybody wanted this job. Anyway, I walked in. I walked straight into the interview room. I knocked on the door. I walked in. Within 2 minutes, I got the job. And the interviewer comes out to the waiting room and says, "Ladies and gentlemen, you can all go home. This gentleman here has the job." I was going, what's for a chutzpah? This guy walks in. We've been sitting here waiting for this interview. He walks in, Johnny come lately, and he gets the job. So the interview guy says, it's very simple. He says, I'll explain to you. He said, when you walked into the interview room, he said, you would have heard some background music playing like you hear in the interview rooms often. He says, behind the music, there was a Morse code message being conveyed. And the Morse code message said, when you walk into this room, come straight into the interview, knock on the door, come and start. We'll interview you straight away. He said, not one of you heard the message, not one of you. He said, the only one that heard the message was this guy. He said, that's the guy we're looking for. So the guy, this Chaverman, he says to the chassid, he says, when you walked in here today with a shofar, you walked in here with this old ram's horn. Everybody else in the hospital, all the doctors and all the people, they mean nothing to them. You walk in with an old horn of a ram, and then you make this blessing and you start blowing. He said, for them it meant absolutely nothing. He says, but to me, it touched me very, very deeply. And he said, and that's the story I wanted to share with you. And this story, my dear friends, is a very powerful story, because this is the story really of us. Not only as being Yidden who have the Torah, which is the Eibishter's Morse code, but we have the way the Torah is interpreted for us by the Rebbeim, by Chassidus, by the Rebbe especially, who the Rebbe gives us perspective on everything that's happening in our world, especially in our Doyer, where the Rebbe teaches us exactly what's going on and points to world events and says, this is what's happening, and this is where we're at, and this is what's going to happen, and this is where we are. And we have the access, we have the Morse code. The only thing is we have to become very proficient in that Morse code. We have to be able to learn it well and to understand it well and to be able to see how lucky we are to be able to be part of this incredible Doyer Hashvi, and that we're able to bench all of us, that we should tap into it. And again, I said, I'm talking to myself. We should it should become real to us. It should become something that we actually are able to come to an appreciation for, and to harave, to come to a deeper and more profound understanding in everything that we are, that's happening around us. It's all there. We just have to open our eyes, and we have to see that it's there. Like the story again with Koppel Rosen, Rabbi Talzin mentioned to me that many Hasidim actually were products of the Rabbi Koppel Rosen's school, the Carmel College, that many of them, their graduates became shluchim in different places. And we see how all around the world, as I said before, that the koyach of the Rebbe, the koyach of Torah has reached every single part of the world. And we are now, that's it. The Welt is ready. We have to be ready, especially being that we are the ones who are zeicha, to have access to the teachings of the Rebbe, Sichos and Mamorim. And we should take all our einlegen in them. And I know how much this community is involved in that. And I know how much incredible chayas and energy, chassidish chayas we have over here. I'm just looking around this room, and it's just an amazing thing. You know, the Eibishter Salbenchen. And what's even bigger nachas is to see among you guys so many Brisbane faces, which is incredible. This is the biggest nachas in the world, is to be able to see Kanai Nahara, the neshamis from the Alam Plätze, the ganze Welt. It's an incredible thing, and we are the ones who are zeicha to this. So the L'chaim, everybody, we should taka be zeicha before this Farbrengen, before the Bracha Acharona, like the Rabbi used to say always in the Farbrengens. We should taka be Mekabel Pnei Mashiach Tzidkeinu, and we should tanz harois from Golus before Shabbos Mevorachim Elul. We should have taka the emes Geulah, and the emes Oir HaGeulah in alle Inyonim. And it should be only Simchas Bayalamin. And it's a very big, for me, a very big surprise and honor to have my dear, very close Chava, Aryeh Kaltman, who we go back many, many years. And I think maybe after the next niggin, we should maybe invite my dear friend Aryeh to share a few words, because Aryeh is very inspirational. And it's a really beautiful surprise and a beautiful honor to have you here, Aryeh. So I'll give you some time to think things through. And L'chaim, and Oni Simchis, and may this community continue to go Michael al Chol in Alan Yonim. L'chaim.
Shama l'chaim
nafshi kama l'chaim v'sari be'eretz Yahweh
Thank you very much.
Kamalecha bezari be'eretz Yahweh Imayim ay 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 Came back Kodesh Kazir Sichal Elizus Came back Kodesh Kazir Elizus came back Kodesh Chazis Reisus Ya mama ya mama ya mama ya mama came back Kodesh Chazis came back Kodesh Hallelujah came back Kodesh Chazis
I don't want to take away from you.
I'm done. I don't have anything else to share. I need to share. Think of something else after you finish. I'll say.
Okay. So just one little thing. If you're wondering how Rabbi Levi Jaffe ended up in Brisbane, Australia, I will tell you a secret. So how did he end up in Brisbane in the middle of nowhere in Australia? He's a boy from Manchester, England. And Brisbane is a little far away. So when Levi was a bach, he was at a Farbrengen.
By the way, you're not supposed to speak about me.
Okay, but I can't help it, and the Rebbe said that whoever goes to Halucha, whoever goes out the furthest, the Rebbe's with. And me and Mendel, Rabbi Lipska, we went to Singapore, Bali, and Manila. And Reb Leivik, no, I wish. I wouldn't be so fat if I did. We went for America Shlichus and Levi, and Rabbi Jaffe went to India. So the truth is, he wanted to go to India because India is the furthest place. It's such a crazy backward country that when you get to a traffic light, you said they turn off the gas. They turn off the gas, and Levi is. I aspire to be connected to the Rebbe like Levi. That the furthest, the most difficult, the hardest place to go to, that's where you feel the Rebbe, and that's where the shlichus is. And this year, before Gimel Tammuz, I happened to be in Italy, and I was mamish the Shabbos before Gimel Tammuz, and I was in a little city near Florence, and the shliach there. We were together, and we were Farbrengen, and he said how hard it is, to be here. He should be by the Rebbe. He's mamish a little tiny little city. Not even his name is.
City.
It's Florence, and there's a holiday resort, and this holiday resort in the summer he goes there and he has a Chabad house. So I was on my way back, so I need to get to Milan, so I went there. It's on the way. So we were together, and Baruch Hashem, he has brothers, he stays connected, and so I told him a story. So I saw this story, and the story had an impression on me. And the story, Shmuel Levitzin said over by the Frierdiker Rebbe by one of the meals. And this is the story. The story is there was a person called Klatskin. And Klatskin came from a city in Lublin. And he wanted to, he came from Lublin, but he studied in Preshburg under the Chassam Sofer in the yeshiva, the famous yeshiva there, Yesodei HaTorah. So what happened was, for Tishrei, he traveled from Preshburg, from Bratislava, all the way to Lubavitch, to the Tzemach Tzedek. And he goes into the Tzemach Tzedek for Yechidus, and he says, Rebbe, I missed that on the Maimah. Please, give me a Maimah. Tell me a Maimah. We're in Yechidus now. Please give me a Maimah. And the Tzemach Tzedek says, go find Hillel Paracha. And go up to Hillel Paracha and ask Hillel Paracha to learn Tanya with you. So Klatskin told the Tzemach Tzedek, Hillel Paracha is a klisheni. Hillel Paracha, I want the Rebbe. I don't want a klisheni. I want the Rebbe. So the Tzemach Tzedek told him he could be a klisheni, but Yad Seledas boy. Even though he is not the heat of a Kli Rishon, he's not a Rebbe, but he's alive. He's alive. Yiddishkeit's real. It's, live wire, like ending up in Brisbane, Australia from a boy from Manchester. Why would you want to go to Brisbane? Why? They have good meat. They have good. I don't even think they have a football team. In Melbourne, I understand Carlton football team, but Brisbane, Australia, I don't know what they have there. What do they have there already? So you know what they have? Oh, I didn't know. That wasn't around in my time. This newcomers to the block, Brisbane Lions. But I know Carlton. That's what I know. So my friends. When you're what does it mean Yad Seledas boy? What does it mean that you have to be? There's a cliche. If you have a second cup on Shabbos, we don't drink. You don't put the coffee and then put the water on top because you don't cook it. So you take the urn, right? You put it in a cup, then you put it in another cup. So the walls cool down the coffee, the tea, and then it's not considered cooking. But if you have a klisheni for certain things, klisheni, a second cup, for certain things it's considered cooking. Considered cooking. So the Tzemach Tzedek told this chassid that the Klatskin, even though Hillel Paracha is not the Rebbe, but he is a chassid, which is Yad Seledas boy. He's alive. He lives Yiddishkeit. He could be in the middle of a midbar. He could be in the middle of a place where there's nothing. And you know something? He's alive. Yiddishkeit's real. He sees God. He sees God. So the question is, how do we do this? How do we even try to begin to become Yad Saledis boy? So there's a sikha, a famous sikha. The Rebbe says that in Chelik Aleph in Likutei Sichos, Pashas Vayera, Moshe Rabbeinu, only one Moshe Rabbeinu in every generation, but Moshe Rabbeinu, you're talking about something unbelievable. Moshe Rabbeinu comes to the Yidden. He says, time's up. It's time to get out of Golus. Golus is over. And he has the Dalil Shenis of Geulah. And not only that, he has Shem Avaya. It's unbelievable. Everything's going great. And then all of a sudden, there's a hiccup. Things happen. It's difficult. And the Rebbe says that they had to have the 10 plagues to knock the Yidden sense into the Yidden. Not just into Pari, like it says in Torah, but into the Yidden. That the Yidden should be schlepped out of Mitzrayim. So the Rebbe asks, the first plague was blood. What's blood? Blood is, it's alive, it's burning, it's cooking, it's Yad Saledis boy. The Rebbe doesn't say Yad Saledis boy, but it's alive, it's Yiddishkeit is passionate. You're into the program. And then you have Svardeya, frogs. What's frogs? Frogs is water, it cools down. So if anything, we know that in Avodas Hashem, first you have Sumeira, and then you have Asay Tov. First, it should be the other way around. First, we should get rid of the chumriyas. We shouldn't have a koch. We shouldn't have a passion. We shouldn't have an enjoyment in Olam Haza. And then you can have dam, you can have blood. Why did the Eibishter flip it? Why did the Eibishter take dam, which is Asay Tov, and make that first, and make Svardeya, which is Sumirah, second? It should be the other way around. So the Rebbe explains that when you're schlepping someone out of Golus, you have to go l'maylo l'matza, from above to below. That you have to go like l'chatchila riba. You have to take the Yid, and the Yid has to get out of Golus. How do you get out of Golus if Yiddishkeit is real? That you could be in the middle of Brisbane, you could be in the middle of Mumbai in India. You can be in a city which is Eretz Asher Loi Zoru Midbar, where no is planted. It's inherent. People say no. You can't do this. No, you can't do that. The answer is no. You know why there were 10 plagues? Because it takes 9 no's to get 1 yes. You know what Rabbi Chadukov said? Rabbi Chadukov said that, you know where they buried the dead man? Because he didn't get out of the coffin and fight. That's what Rabbi Chadukov said. If the mace would get out of the coffin, they couldn't bury him, could they? You have to get out of the coffin and you have to fight. No, well, that's the point. They put you in the coffin, jump out, and you're not going to get buried, are you? So you have to be alive. You have to be alive, and you see, if you're alive, even if you live in a place which Chitzonius, the world looks like, no, I can't do this, no, I can't do that, and no, I can't do that, and leave me alone. I had enough of you, Rabbi. You have to look at it. You're alive. You're connected to something higher. And when you're connected to something higher, you don't fall down, because the Rebbe needs us to do our shlichus, and it was never about us. It was never about us. I want to go to the furthest place to go, because I want to have a personal relationship, and I want to live with the Rebbe. The Rebbe is my father, and I need the Rebbe to overcome my. I need the Rebbe because it's not right. Because if you have a father and you love your father, you don't let your father wait. That's why. Because you have a responsibility to forget about yourself and to worry about the Mashaleach. And that's what Mashiach is. That's what Mashiach is. Like the Rabbi Jaffe said, he said that all the Rebbeim, all Tzaddikim, Mashiach was here for them. The problem is outside, you can't smell Mashiach. So my friends, the night is young. Rosh Chodesh Elul is coming. So I was just in the Masifta. So I told them a story. For me, being in this building it conjures up a lot of memories. From kindergarten to year 12, I went to Yeshiva College. And right across, I was in kindergarten. I remember I dressed up as a bunny rabbit in kindergarten for Purim. And then I was in the Masifta building. Right above was Mr. Donald Stewart's office. I received the strap there on numerous occasions. He helped train me to be more better behaved. I have fun. More resilient? No. But I have very fun. When I come in here, I have very fun memories because I'm an Aussie boy. And I'll tell you a quick story. Just a story because Rosh Chodesh Elul is coming. So I'll tell you a quick story. And so when I was in Yeshiva Geulah, went to Yeshiva Geulah, and the shluchim, God bless them, every single Australian boy, they raised money, thousands of dollars. Every Aussie kid got a free ticket to go to the Rebbe for Tishrei. That's thousands of dollars. You're talking about astronomical amount of money. Every Aussie boy could go to the Rebbe for Tishrei. So Rabbi Bosovsky is in Shomesh Hav and Aliyah. He said, you're not allowed to just go. You have to prepare. And, I'm in Melbourne. So there was a house. Is this being taped? No. So I can't say.
It's broadcast.
Okay, broadcast. So there's a house. I'm not going to tell you where it is. There were 3 boys. Their mother was Jewish. No, they're not listening. Trust me, they're not listening. So their mom was Jewish. Their father was Italian. And every Friday, I used to go. I used to go to Montefiore Homes for Mifsayim. That's where I went. And I can't tell you where the house is, but it's in Caulfield. And I used to bang after I finished Montefiore Homes. I used to go wake up this guy before Shabbos because he was asleep. And I won't tell you why he was asleep 4 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, but he was asleep. And I used to bang on the door, and we put on tefillin. And before I went with the shluchim. Before I went, so we wanted to prepare something nice for the Rebbe. So I got an album, and I put pictures in the album, of going on with Mifsayim. And these 3 guys, Peter, John, and Tony, I didn't say their last name. They're dancing, and they're alive. And I wrote into the Rebbe on the bottom, we want Mashiach now. And you see that these chevra, they're having a good time, and they're putting on tefillin. So we prepared an album. Then we learned, Rabbi Bosovsky said you have to learn a maimah off by heart. So he said you have to grab memories that should last you your whole life. That's what he said. So and Mordechai, Rabbi Shmulik, help prepare. It's my brother-in-law. So what happened was I prepared an album, and if you go on, it's all on line, the library, and all the pictures of Montefiore home. There was a picture of Menachem Av in the room. We're putting on tefillin with someone, Stanley, and all these pictures they're in the book. So that was my present. So we on Chaf Gimel. Elul, that was the first day. That was a Friday. We came Thursday night. They got picked up at the airport. And on Friday morning, Chaf Gimel Elul, I see the rabbi say, Shechiyanu, the Shabbos before, we danced so much in YG, the floor shook. Mamish, the floor shook. And the Bachram was so excited. What? I can come back for more. So the floor shook. It shook. And the Australian boys. Listen, we grew up. Every time there was a Farbrengen, every time there was a Farbrengen, school was out. So where we would go to Lubavitch's school, we heard this voice. So I told Rabbi Lipska, the Masifta, I said, I have a picture of the shul in my mind, and I remember Ronnie Punnett said, how great the Rebbe is. Rebarel, it's Chol Hamoed Pesach, and Rebarel is riding on Chol Hamoed Pesach. You can imagine how special the Rebbe is. He saw Rebarel ride on Chol Hamoed Pesach, and he was on the bimah. And correct me, Mordechai, if I'm wrong. Rabbi Groner was like 5 rows on the right. Rabbi Issa Klufgant was facing on the left side, facing everyone. Rabbi Glick was on the left of the bimah, Shockling. Rabbi Menachem Zalman was in the back right. Yeah, Shockling. And this voice was bellowing, and we heard this voice, so we knew the voice. Then one time I remember, I think I was in Form 5, year 11, and there was a special Hanukkah live, so we saw a video of the Rebbe, but we never, went there. And all these Bachram, all these Aussie kids, we go to New York, we get picked up at the airport. Chaf Gimel is Friday, Chaf Dalet is Shabbos for Farbrengen, and then we have to give in the pan. So that's when you're going past the Rebbe, you have to say a maimah. You push it, you have to prepare. This is very special. And I'm walking by. I want to make sure everything was 100%. And the guy in front of me wrote "Feikdushas Admor Shlitza" on the envelope, on the pan. So I see it, and I want to make sure my pan was special. So I take out a pen, I start writing, and now all of a sudden it's my turn, and I have a pen, and I'm writing, and I'm walking past the Rebbe, and the Rebbe's secretary rips into me. There's a little Aussie boy, and he never went past the Rebbe before, and he rips into me. Du schreibst und der Rebbe wart. And you're writing, and the Rebbe's waiting. And these words echo in my brain. It's a great introduction, So, but it's very, very powerful. It's the best introduction I could have. And I'll tell you why. This introduction is the best possible introduction I could have. I'll tell you why. Because we had Tishrei with the Rebbe. Rosh Hashanah, I got crushed in the washing machine. Mamish couldn't breathe. And the second day I went with the Zakanim, was a lot better. And then Napoleon's March, unbelievable. And then Sukkot came, and Sukkot, those people who were there, those who remember, in the Sukkot, it was the Sukkah Tov Shemem Zayin, and going into Sukkot Tov Shemem Ches, and the Sukkah was Mamish. The Rebbe came in on one side of the Sukkah, and then he had to walk across to the other side, and the Rebbe would give a blessing to all the guests. So all the Urchim, all the guests were in the Sukkah. So it's very pushy, and the Vad HaMasada, the people who organized everything, they messed up that particular opportunity. And what happened was, I'm there, and the Rebbe wants to go up, make a shvul, make a path for the Rebbe to go up, and there's nowhere for the Rebbe to go. So he went up, and then there's no, people chop, they grab the milk boxes, whatever, and the Rebbe can't go down. So 10 seconds go by, the Rebbe's waiting. Someone puts a box in front of the Rebbe sees that it's hollow inside. They take it away. 20 seconds, 30 seconds, 40 seconds. Rebbe's waiting. Mordechai, you were in there. Yeah, 50 seconds.
It was not normal. Go on.
60 seconds. The Rebbe's pasha waiting. And then they finally get a milk carton. They put the milk carton down. The Rebbe gives the bracha, the blessing. Then he leaves. And then pandemonium, that's a nice way to say it, all hell broke loose. How dare you keep the Rebbe waiting for a minute. The Rebbe's time, 1 minute. The Rebbe was standing there on the top and he wasn't able to go down and he's waiting. How could you do that? How can you keep the... So I have one simple question for you. One question. It's not 1 minute. It's not 1 hour. It's not 1 week. It's not 1 month. It's not 1 year. It's 30 years. And the Rebbe's waiting. And me, Rabbi Jung, is writing the book of his life. I accomplished this, and I accomplished this, and I did this, and I did that, and I accomplished this. And the Melech, the king, is waiting. And that's the bottom line. If you have a father who you love, and you keep him waiting, it doesn't work that way. If someone who you love, someone who you're connected to, for 1 minute in Tovshin Mem Ches, there was an eruption. There was, how dare you? How dare you? The Vad HaMasada were embarrassed. But now, Nebuch, it's 30 years since Gimel Tammuz. It's 32 years since Chav Zayin Adar. It's every moment is precious. And maybe we don't understand. We don't understand how what time is and what you can accomplish in a moment, but the Rebbe understands. But what we do know is that if we are here, it's all Hashgacha Pratis, and you have someone who didn't get a cushy shlichus position in the middle of Brisbane, Australia, and you have someone who's able to mamish cause the Yidden and Yiddishkeit is alive in Brisbane, Australia, that Yad Saledaspoy, that the Rebbe has a place and the Rebbe is alive. The Chabad is the community. There is no community besides for Reb Levi, for Rabbi Jaffe. So my friends, we have an awesome responsibility. And like Rabbi Jaffe said, I'm not talking to you, I'm talking to myself, that I'm writing the book of my life and the Rebbe's waiting. And we have an awesome responsibility that we have to finish off Geulah once and for all. And maybe we understand, maybe we don't understand. But what we do know is that every moment is precious and the Rebbe is waiting. L'chaim, l'chaim.
Rav Shimon. Moshe Katzman.
la la la.
Where is he? Nebraska?
No, he's not shliach. He lives in Crown Heights. Anything else you want to say, Aria, before we close the topic? Got anything else to say? Yeah. Well, I don't have anything else to give to. Yeah. Like what?
Where was the Rebbe standing in Memsai?
The Rebbe came in on the sukkah on one side, and then he had to go through the bottom. And I told Yossi Lu, your cousin, he says he was there and he saw the shtender was going backwards and forwards. And Mordechai was in the
And he
sukkah.
said the Rebbe's foot went through the box. And
Yes.
the box was stuck on his leg. So he's trying to take the
I
leg.
was standing, I watched it. It was not.
But where's the Rebbe standing when he was
They
talking?
brought a box for the Rebbe to stand high so more people, the guests.
Where was the Rebbe standing? Which part of the
The
skirt?
Rebbe gave a talk in 770.
Yeah.
That's every night.
Yeah.
And then the Rebbe welcomes the guests in the sukkah. So the Rebbe came to the sukkah.
But where in the sukkah was the Rebbe standing?
The Rebbe was
On the
standing
left.
right in the and
Where he
and
Farbrengen,
so
the same
somebody-
place with Farbrengen.
The two ends.
Towards East Parkway, towards Tashlin.
Towards Tasha. Towards Tasha. And I'm saying that, and so thought instead of all the guests just watching the Rebbe, we give the Rebbe something to stand on.
Oh.
So some chacham brought a cardboard box.
Very clever.
So when the Rebbe got there was a cardboard box, and you know. The Rebbe thought that maybe somebody's normal here, so it must be
Something under it.
So the Rebbe actually did lift up his holy leg and went down, and the Rebbe decided that particular moment not to make him wafers. So the Rebbe's holy leg went through the cardboard box. And I'm watching like everybody else, and the Rebbe's just speaking, like at the Farbrengen, when the Rebbe's saying a pilpul, see in the sect or something, or even a Rashi, anything, and things are going nuts, and I'm going crazy. I've got adrenaline running up and down, like this is incredible, guy. And the Rebbe will sit there and talk and hardly move, and like. How is the Rebbe so calm? I'm about to face 10 times over every word, and the Rebbe's just like this is no problem.
So then they brought him.
And I thought because I suppose if you won with Torah, everything is just it's flowing and it's just, but I saw under the table. Sometimes the Rebbe's holy hands are moving like.
So what, they brought him milk?
No, then before they brought nothing.
They brought a milk carton.
Yeah, but the Rebbe was speaking. You know what the Rebbe was doing? The Rebbe was speaking a wonderful sikha. You know what was going on under the table? The Rebbe was a dance. It wasn't a flamingo. I don't know what it was, but the Rebbe was moving his holy leg and trying to get his holy leg out of this idiot put anyway. And then eventually, yes, it is true. Another thing came, a milk carton. This is the cupboard which is given to a lot of heart and not a lot of bread.
But how did the Rebbe get his foot out to get on the milk carton?
The Rebbe did get his holy leg out of the cardboard box.
Did someone take that cardboard box and keep it?
It didn't last 3 minutes. Everybody want a piece of the box. Unbelievable.
It was shredded to bits.
No, I was sad. Remember, where was it? Memzion.
Memzion going into Memphis.
It was Memphis.
But it started off Memzion, then it went to Memphis.
I was there. I was standing down on the other, and I watched what's going on.
So then there was a milk can. The Rebbe was able to stand.
I was embarrassed. I wanted to bury myself alive.
So the Rebbe went on the milk can and was able to stand normal.
No, the Rebbe was high up and he had to go down. And okay, you say I don't know. No, the Rebbe already was. He had to go down.
They should have got found out. It's okay. It all worked out. But I found it amazing. The Rebbe didn't complain. The Rebbe was acting like there was no trouble. Like whenever any idiot, when you saw the time I the light up, I told them that the other puts up with us. That's the sang uncle from the whole community. The other puts up with people that have room for moving closer to the get.
Ari, if you have something else to say something else.
So go on. So 30 years, I'm closing my mouth, and I just happen to be there.
No, so I just said what. So I just tell you one little thing. So unfortunately in America, thank God a million billion times, Australia is behind with all the sickness, all the machlas in America. In America, suicide is a terrible thing, terrible thing. And unfortunately, on my shlichus, I had 3 people who did who Nebuch did this, and so there were letters on sale. And these letters were on sale. It was an auction that there was a guy who was going to do Nebuch suicide, and he wrote to the Rebbe his problems, and he ended up being nifter, and the sister was selling the letters. so like these letters for me.
Letters that he wrote to the Rebbe.
Yes. Not all of them, but some of the letters that he wrote and the sister had in the file, the letters that what he is going through and the response that the Rebbe gave, to him. So I wanted these letters really bad. So these letters, I have a coat, I have my real winter coat. It's a boy, Andrew, and Nebuch, he did it. He was 40 years old. I'm this is being tough. So maybe I guess that's it. So anyway, so I won't say. so I wanted these letters really bad. I wanted these letters incredibly bad because Pasha, so I bid for the letters. This was a while ago. Before now, you can't bid on anything because all the Lubavitchers will swoop it up, and and the price is meshuggah. But these letters, I needed these letters really, really bad for myself, So these letters are amazing. So this guy, it's 1954, and he writes to the Rebbe. He's a Harvard student. He's writing from the mental asylum in Harvard Hospital. And he's writing to the Rebbe, and he's mamish, he says, I tried to take my life. And he wrote about his personal problems. And the Rebbe gives a response. And the response is just incredible. First of all, he's a kid. I don't know. I can't remember how old he was. He was very young. He's a university student. He tried to take too many pills. Don't ask. So the Rebbe starts off the letter. This is verbatim, but when my father was nifter, so I put it on COL. I actually let them, and I told Chase Taub that he can take the letters and use it. But the Rebbe, because he does a whole thing on the Rebbe's letters, so the Rebbe takes, it's not exact words, the Rebbe says, I see from the letter that you are very smart. And these are not the exact words, but I'm just giving you the gist. Did you ever think that you have a responsibility to the community, to society that gave you your education? Yeah, that's the first paragraph. Then the Rebbe goes on. He says, your letter starts and ends, it's all about you. It's all you. And the Rebbe goes on to say, everything I said about you have a responsibility to help the society that gave you the education. Now, you happen to be a Jew. I don't know the exact words. You are a Jew. And a third of our people, and the Rebbe handwrites, the best of our people were just murdered in the Holocaust. You have to live life more to take the place of these Jews. So this is called a paradigm shift. what Rabbi Jaffe was talking about, the Rebbe takes and switches the whole thing around. This guy's calling out from the depths of despair, from the pain of Mamish trying to end his life, and he feels weak, he feels useless. The Rebbe takes him and turns it around and says, you have a responsibility. You have a responsibility, not just to live, but to live to make up for a third of the Jewish people, which was snatched, I don't know the exact words offhand, which was snatched away from us. It's just amazing. You know, every time I dealt with someone, I wouldn't do it unless I had a psychiatrist in the room, a psychologist in the room. Otherwise, I said I can't speak because I don't want to say the wrong thing. But the Rebbe takes this person, he never met him, he read his letter, and the Rebbe turns the whole thing around. Mamish, the whole thing around. Then, you see, this guy's a kid. You know, he's a kid. He's a kid, very smart Harvard student, and the Rebbe writes him many, many letters. It's a whole thing of letters. And the Rebbe tells him in one letter, this is amazing. The Rebbe says, we just had Yud Beis Tammuz. So the Rebbe says, we just had Yud Beis Tammuz, and my father-in-law, my saintly father-in-law, paved the way for us. So he have a person in another letter, well, that wasn't the first letter, who's suicidal, who has mamish real problems, and the Rebbe was telling him, Yud Beis Tammuz came, you're going to be okay. So it's just unbelievable. For the Rebbe, Yud Beis Tammuz wasn't just like, some historic event, but the Rebbe took the guy in Geulah and schlepped him out. So there's a shliach in Postville, Iowa, Des Moines, Iowa, Yossi Jacobson. So he knew this guy. He knew this professor. So when Gimel Tammuz happened, all the Chassidim, they all got together, and he said, this is what he told me. He said, yeah, you had Rabashkin, you had all these real Chassidim. He said the guy who was weeping, who was crying the most, was this guy who wrote the letters, this professor. And because the Rebbe Mamish saved his life. The Rebbe schlepped him out of the worst, the most terrible place that you person could humanly be. And the Rebbe turned him around, and he ended up becoming a professor, and he ended up having a full life. So when Gimel Tammuz happened, he wasn't just Gimel Tammuz happened. Gimel Tammuz was a very personal blow. It was his father, he's the man who's responsible for him being alive. And that's why it was so painful to him. So this idea of everyone has their peckle, everyone has their problems, everyone has issues they have to struggle with, and the Rebbe takes us in our place, wherever we are, and the Rebbe rips us out of the quicksand, and the Rebbe gives us an opportunity, a new lease of life. New lease of life. So now Elul's coming. So you have to realize that each and every one of us, whatever issues we have, everyone has their own issues they have to overcome, and struggles and challenges, but each and every one of us, this is Elul, the king is in the field. And the king, you have to ask the people in the Chassidus. From what I understand, when the Melech, now you correct me if I'm wrong, please correct me. From what I understand, when the king goes into the field, I don't think he goes with Big Day Malchus into the field. Does he or doesn't he?
No, it sounds like the Muslim does.
He does?
He has a big people around the fields, they're pushed.
He goes with all of his covered. He goes with all of his.
Fetish not.
The fetish not?
Fetish.
Well, but the point is that the king comes into the field. The king leaves for sure. He leaves the palace, and he goes into the field, to to give opportunity that everyone who is in pain, no Jew should suffer. Every single Jew is a walking miracle. Every single Jew is the Rebbe says in Tafshin Nun in Vayikra. In Tafshin Nun, Amzu Yatzarti Li Telasi Yisapero, that a Jew, the fact that there's a Jew who after the Holocaust can roam, can walk the face of the earth after the Holocaust, that in itself is the greatest Telasi Yisapero, the greatest fact that there's a God in the world. Every single Jew is precious to Hashem. And the king comes, the Rebbe comes out of the palace. Every single person, a kid, to have a guy in a mental hospital who tried to kill himself, and to get a 2.5 page, not two, that's one letter. There are many, many letters. And the Rebbe's investing. I mean, who am I to say? I don't know how long it took to get these letters, but the Rebbe's investing. He's mamish ripping people out of quicksand, out of horrible pain, out of suffering. So each and every one of us, the main thing is you have to know that you're never alone. That we have a Rebbe. That when Hashem is with us, and that we're gonna be successful, because we can't let the Rebbe down. We can't keep the king waiting in the field. And we have to do everything, each and every one of us, to forget about ourselves, to forget about the book we're writing of our life, and to accomplish something, that we have, there goes a chassid, that there, it's Pashut, it's not us, it's the Rebbe going into the world and taking the world by storm and schlepping each and every yid out of Geulah, whatever place they are, whatever quicksand they're in. Because every moment of Geulah is a moment too long. And Pashut, the Rebbe loves Jews. And for a Jew to suffer is unheard of. And for even though, the Rebbe said that the Hashem has to force himself, the Rebbe Marash, because there's Pashut a Geschmack in Geulah, that they have so much Mesiras Nefesh, the Jews, but it's it's too long. It's too long, and no Jew should suffer. And the Rebbe loves Jews, so all of us should go now to Yerushalayim, b'mheira v'yameinu mamash v'hu yigaleinu. Amen. 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 Amen.
Went to a place called different places. We went there and they went to Singapore. Thank you very much. I don't know. I'm early minion somewhere. 6:15. I'll try and make the 6:15. If not, I'll do the 6:41. The time is the 6:40. What should I end up L'chaim, everybody, l'chaim. Chaim, Susanna, Ksirch, Stimmetevel, Shontem, Mesuka. Die was Staffen machen, aber auch Achrein, so sich machen, aber Achrein. L'chaim, l'chaim.
L'chaim.
Rabbi Aaron, what are you doing there? I would like to take the opportunity to extend to Rabbi Aaron over there and his wonderful Rara team a big shikoyach to the amazing work that they continue to do all the time. The most remote Jews in the world are taken care of by these people. It's unbelievable what they do. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable. Al-Chaim, I'm sure that it gives a Geulah Masach Nachas Ruach. To continue, Rabbi Aaron, Michael Al-Choyel, you and all of the Rara team. Chaim, Chaim.
Thank you.
Okay, yeah, I'll send it again.
Okay.
And I'll send the cell phone too.
Okay.
Send it as well.
Rabbi Jaffe, Rabbi Carlton as well, thank you. Everyone for coming. And next Thursday we'll do